Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am creating a tutorial using the NARS Mojave palette. It's a small quad palette that's great for adding to your kit if you're travelling, and you can create so many different looks with the four colours. This is just one I've come up with today. I'm going to start off by applying a lip balm. This one is Emile Cordon. This one is some Barts Soleil from their Miracle Lip Balm range, and if you could bottle the scent of holiday, this would be it. For skin, I'm going to use the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop Full Coverage Foundation. This is the first time I'm using it. I really love how it sits on the skin. It doesn't look like you're wearing makeup, and it does give you a really nice coverage. The only thing I wasn't particularly keen on was the shades that I've got are a little bit on the yellow side. In the summer that's fine because my skin looks quite olivey, but in the winter I'm definitely more of a neutral skin tone. Next up I'm going to use the ZOEVA Cream Contour Palette, and you know I normally use the Chanel one, but I thought I would change it up to something a little bit more affordable this week. So I'm using a mix of the two warmer bronzy shades, and I'm going to use that to bronze over the skin around the circumference of the face on the high points where the sun would naturally hit. So unless you're going on a winter sun holiday, you're always going to be paler in the winter months. But at the moment I'm using a skincare regime that I'll be doing a video on that is counteracting the melasma and pigmentation that I'm suffering with. And it does contain a skin lightener, so actually my face is a lot paler than usual. So for me, bronzing up the skin is a bit of a necessity so that my face actually matches the rest of my body. Going back to the palette, I'm now taking the cooler brown and I'm going to use this on the brush to press that into the hollows of the cheeks. And the reason we're using a cooler shade is because we want it to look more like a shadow. I'm then using my favourite brow pen to fill in my brows. If you've not seen how I do this, you can follow the tutorial, which I will link on screen for you. As usual, once I filled them in, I then set the brow hairs in place using the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter in Clear. Moving on to eyes, this is the NARS Mojave Quad Eyeshadow Palette. This is a really nice neutral palette, and we've got a mix of matte, metallic, pearl and satin finish eyeshadows. I'm going to take the Bony Beige shade and apply this over the entire eyelid right up to the brow bone. You might be able to see it's got a subtle sheen to it, which is a lovely finish, and I'm using this to absorb any oil that's on the eyelid before we go on with our next eyeshadows. I'm actually going to use a bronzer rather than an eyeshadow. The pearl shade that's in the palette is a similar colour to this, but I wanted a matte finish. So I'm using a fluffy blending brush to work this into the socket all the way to the inner corner and towards the outer edge, tapering that colour outwards towards the tail of the eyebrow. Also, the brushes I'm using are from the ZOEVA Premier Collection. I will list and link all the products used in the description bar. Sometimes I'll use a ZOEVA brush that might not be available anymore. The brush will be the same, it's just it might have a limited edition handle, so I will always list an alternative below. It will be the same brush, just a different handle. Going back to the palette, I'm going to take the deepest shade out of the four colours, and this is the matte brown. It's quite a neutral colour, but it does have a slightly cool undertone. Having our matte bronzer underneath is going to add a little bit more of a warmth to this look. I'm using a small crease brush to work this into the eye socket. This small blending brush is half the size of a regular blending brush, so it allows you to be more precise with where you apply the colour, but because it is a blending brush, you can still buff out the eyeshadow for a nice seamless finish. I'm making sure I take it through the socket, but also so it comes slightly onto that mobile lid, which is below the crease. The reason I'm doing this is because we're going to be applying some concealer to the eyelid itself, almost to create a bit of a cut crease. So if you don't take this darker brown low enough, then you're not going to get any depth to that cut crease. Each time I apply the darker brown shade, I then go in with my blending brush and a little bit of the bronzer, and I buff over the edges to make sure it's as seamless as I can make it. Once you've got that layer blended, you then want to reapply the darker brown. This time I'm concentrating that colour on the outer V shape and then using what's left on the bristles to gently fade that upwards. And then again go back in with the blending brush to buff over that to make sure it's nice and seamless. On a mini detailer brush, I'm taking that brown shade underneath those lower lashes, and you can see here just how pigmented that eyeshadow is. Then lastly I'm going in with a clean blending brush to buff over all of the seams to make sure everything's beautifully blended. Next up, I'm taking this Revlon Conceal and Define Concealer. I'm going to use this on a flat shaded brush to create a almond shaped cut crease. Over the top of that, I'm going to use my ring finger to tap that shade over the top. I've found you definitely need a concealer or primer underneath for this to really show up. You don't have to have a cut crease, by the way. A diffused finish would look beautiful on the very centre. You can just tap the concealer on the mobile lid in more of a circular finish and then tap this eyeshadow into place. The liquid liner I'm using is by Pure Cosmetics. Now this would work beautifully in a brown, but I've been using a lot of brown liquid eyeliner recently, so I'm using a black one. This isn't my favourite. As you can see, it's not the blackest of black, so I am going to go over this with a different black. The one I'm going to use is by Inglot. This is their AMC gel eyeliner in number 77. Before I go over the top eyeliner, I'm going to leave that to dry, and I'm going to start on the waterline, and I'm only applying this halfway across the waterline. Then I'm going to wipe off the excess from my brush and use what's just left on the bristles to apply that underneath my tear duct. By dropping this line at the front, it kind of opens up the eye area and just makes them look slightly bigger, enabling those people with smaller eyelids to be able to wear eyeliner. Then I'm softly smoking that line with a little bit of the dark brown eyeshadow. On the inner part of the waterline, I'm applying a cream eyeliner to brighten and take away the pinky tone, and then I'm going in with some mascara. This is the Climax mascara, also by NARS. The next part is optional. You don't have to wear falsies, but my favourite pair are by Backstage Lashes, and this one is Melrose Avenue, and I quite like that these are quite spiky. They give you kind of Bambi doe eyes, really pretty and quite flirty. I finished off the look with some lip gloss by Becca. This is a lip icing glow gloss in Creme Brulee. Thank you all for watching. All the products will be listed and linked in the description bar below. If you've got any questions about the look or any of the products, please leave them in the comment section below and I will do my best to get back to you. If you'd like to follow me outside of YouTube, my social handles are on screen. If you missed last week's tutorial, that will also be on screen. Thank you for watching and I'll see you again soon. Bye!